Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to cover the legendary Object 907, the Soviet Tier 10 medium tank that you can only get from playing Clan Wars in a campaign and placing in the top some number of players and so on, doing better than everybody else, or you can bid on it for playing 5 battles during a Clan Wars campaign. Anyways, it's hard to get. And it's a very good tank, and it's historically been used in Clan Wars and competitive game modes for a long time, years, decades, or most of the life of the game. I believe that since the 907 has been introduced, it's been popular in Clan Wars, and it's been very good. But today I'm going to compare it. I'm going to jump into the stats here and compare it to the closest equivalent, which is the Tech Tree Object 140. Which recently has received a few buffs that, in my opinion, make it... it used to be that the 907 was substantially better than the Object 140 in a lot of ways. And now, with the buffs of the 140, you know, it's in a few ways that matter. The 907 is still, I think, a little bit better, and so probably preferred in competitive game modes, which I'll get into why. But for a lot of the, I guess, you know, for the gun depression, in some aspects, I like the 907, or I like the 140 a lot better, to be quite honest. But you can see here, basically for the firepower is almost identical. It's got a little, what is it, a 100mm, you know, little pew gun that hits for 320, and it's all about the DPM with these things. You know, they don't hit very hard, but they do just needle you to death. A 264 standard pen. They both got, what is it? I forget now exactly. Is it 330 or 340? 330 millimeters of totally balanced heat penetration on the premium rounds, and you know, the big difference here being that the 140 gets 7 degrees of gun depression, which is workable. You know, it used to be 5, and that's what the 907 has, and that's going to be a little awkward. It's not enough for me to really like it, but 7 feels a lot more comfy. You can work a lot of positions with 7 that you can't work with 5. And also the gun handling. You know, the gun handling on the 140 is god tier awesome, and the handling on the 907 is noticeably worse. You know, it doesn't seem like a lot going from 0.08 to 0.12, but that's 50% worse. You know, so this is really good, and this is not bad, but it's not nearly as good as the 140. So this is something you do notice. You go from one to the other, and you notice how the gun depression, or I'm sorry, the gun soft stats are not nearly as good. The aiming reticle doesn't stay nearly as tight when you're on the move. For all intents and purposes, the mobility is about the same between the two. You've got one that has a little more power, engine power, and so on. The other one has a little bit better ground resist. It's fine. The mobility is the same. Armor is pretty similar. The 140 has cupolas, and the 907 has a little bit of the roof that's overmatchable. It's in a lot of ways they're about the same. And you know, 100 hit points, does that make a big difference? Most times not really. In competitive game modes it can. And then the rest of this is, you know, again, it's about the same. So in a lot of ways the tanks are very similar, and in some ways the Object 140 is actually better, right? You're seeing this, and so why is the 907 still used in Clan Wars over the Object 140? And I will show it to you now. It has to do with the armor. Okay, so this is one of the only couple of tanks in the game that has this V-shaped hull, right? In the visual model, there's all kinds of crap in the way, and you can't really see this. But this is the hitbox model. It looks like a V, right? And then this front is this kind of weird UFO type shaped thing that makes the armor really trollish. So like sometimes it's actually better to shoot the upper plate than it is to shoot the lower plate, depending on the angles you get. And the reason it's used, this tank is used, I mean, you see this little bit of overmatchable turret and so on, little weak spot here, but in general it does have these cupolas. But the reason it's so popular in Clan Wars for, you know, over the 140 is because you got this. I mean, it doesn't look really good right now because of these, you know, because you're not seeing the trollishness, but like this angle, this angly, you know, V-shaped hull gets you all kinds of bounces, and because it's got the stuff in front of it, as soon as, I mean, heat rounds will get absorbed by the tracks and so on, and so like the visuals, I mean, the model makes it seem like this is just cheese, and you can go in, but like I'm telling you from experience, you get all kinds of trollish bounces off the side that you wouldn't expect to get. And even in a pinch, you know, you can do this kind of reverse side scrapey thing off the back of this thing, which is really trollish. You know, try side scraping against this, or try, you know, and having this to shoot at, which is not a lot. So the V-shaped hull is really troll, and that's one of the strongest things that the Object 907 has going for it, because the Object 140 has a very standard kind of boxy hull, where if you shoot it in the side, it's definitely going in. There's no angles to mess with. There's no nothing. You can hit it in the track and the drive wheel and still pen. So, but yeah, that's basically the armor is okay, but you know, against tier 10s, you're gonna get trollish balances, and that's about it, to be honest. Against tier 8s, it's good luck. You're barking up the wrong tree, but you know. Anyways, I guess that's the armor of the thing. It's a UFO. That's why they call, one of the reasons they call it a hover med. The other being that the ground resistances are so small that it just feels like there's nothing ever holding it back. It just has great mobility. It just feels good to play with. So let's see here. So equipment. We'll get to the equipment. Generally speaking, in this tank, it is all about the DPM. It is the thing that makes this tank tick. The reason you play this tank is to maximize the silly DPM that it's capable of attaining. And you just burn people down with almost 4,000 DPM without even having purple equipment. I mean, you start talking about purple equipment, which a lot of players that have 907s are going to have their 907s purpled out, because it's just... Come on, tanks GG. Because it's such a popular tank, it's used in competitive game modes, and you want to have all the advantages you possibly can. So yeah, you get about 4,000 DPM, which is crazy, right? And so you're shooting every just under 5 seconds. So this is like, you know, at tier 8, you have the Kampfpanzer for hits for 200. This thing hits for 320 with the same reload. So yeah, this is the equipment that is generally used and should be used. You could probably make the argument for swapping out the vents for optics when you're trying to like play pub games and you can't maybe depend on your scouts and stuff like that. But this is generally what is done. And yeah, the tank is excellent in general. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. And without further ado, we'll get into the gameplay. Alright, so in this game we're going to be watching No Respect playing his 907 on Serene Coast. It's a game with one artillery on each side. There's tier 9s in the game, and of course there's tier 10s. And No Respect is going to take his 907 up to the C1 position, which I think is a good play, because although the 907 doesn't have the most great gun depression, right, it's a hill up there, it has a workable turret, and it has you know, if you know what you're doing, you can make 5 degrees of gun depression work fairly well. And so, especially early game, you know, No Respect is going to use the... Oh, that's unfortunate. STRV got caught out a little bit. I don't know where exactly he was, but he must have been spotted. So, always, you know, when you've got wheelie boys in the enemy team, you want to play extra careful so you don't get ganked before the game starts. But you can also see that, you know, there's not a lot of people coming up here with No Respect. See, he's here and he sees the things, and the gun depression, struggling with that gun depression. That little bump in the road was enough to give him some problems. And we're trying to put a shot into the Kupol, the 430, which, yeah, 430 Kupols are pretty legit, even after the nerf. But again, there's not a lot of people here with him. You notice the enemy team has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people up here, 5 or 6 people up here. No Respect sees we have an E50, a 260, and a T54, and him, which is not a lot. And we're definitely outmatched, and none of those tanks that are here are all that good at, you know, have that great a gun depression as compared to the enemies like AE Phase 1 and some other tanks. So, No Respect correctly, I think, realizes right away that this is not going to go well, and he tries to get himself in a position where he can still support the team, like maybe back where this Mauschen is for some reason, but also not put himself in the danger. This is the part of the game that separates good players from bad players, knowing how to support a flank without being in harm's way. So No Respect's going to be back here, not going to put his hit points at risk, but still manage to put some damage downrange and still manage to help support his team and not let them die super quickly. And so now this is a really good position if you're not familiar with the map, and we're you know, the accuracy of the 907 is okay, right? I mean, especially when you're sitting still, it's okay. And we've dipped into those totally balanced heat rounds, so we don't really have to aim much aside from spaced armor. But you know, with 0.35 accuracy, you can see like you can put the shots in the vicinity that you want, but you're not sniping lower plates from 500 meters, which I think is, you know, fine. This isn't really what the tank is made to do, but it can, you know, it can do it, obviously. So, No Respect is just going to try to help as much as possible and do what he can, because this 260 is basically dead. So, yeah, and for some reason, if you're looking at the map, we have an object 268 that is getting dangerously close, and the artillery is about to die to a wheelie boy, and our guys on the peninsula are not pushing nearly hard enough. Like that, for as many tanks as they have and how this is going, they definitely need to be putting it, you know, playing a lot more aggressively. But it is what it is. With just you can't necessarily always help the team that you're dealt with. And this object 268 is isolated. He's by himself, and so the Leopard 1 and No Respect, we're gonna go ahead and gank him if we could, and which, you know, it ends up working out okay. And you can see some of the trollish. I mean, I guess the armor does work. What do you know? But that Leopard 1 was probably overstayed his welcome. As soon as you're spotted in that position and they own the hill, you just there's the crossfires exist. You just can't put yourself there. And whatever the Leopard 1 now knows that, and so No Respect is trying yet again to retreat, but also put his gun in a position that is useful, because this Malshin is gonna die. He shouldn't be there in the first place, and he shouldn't be there anymore. He's too slow to do anything about where he is now, but he shouldn't have deployed there in the first place. And so the 907 here, No Respect, is going to try his best to maybe see if we can make something. I don't know how that one doesn't go in, but whatever. Try to make something of this and see if we can't make some use of the fact that whew, I think that was blocked by the barrel. Wow. So the fact that the Malshin was dying is definitely, like, not good, but there's nothing we can do about that. So how do you maximize the fact that that is happening in the game? The answer is do what No Respect did, which is, you know, try to kite. You go back, you get as much as you can from that experience, and stay low on the ridge here. The micro positioning, right? If No Respect would have been any higher up on that ridge, his side would have been exposed to the 705A, and he probably would have taken a hit. So now we're back here where it's somewhat safe, right? So now we have the E3 and the Grill 15 that are at these positions on the road, and No Respect, I think, was planning on running, but we sees that the other guys in the peninsula are turning around, so he decides to go back and create more crossfires, because the Grill 15 and the E3 have a pretty good crossfire, but, well, you know, it could be better if we have No Respect doing what he's about to be doing now, trying to make sure no turrets are turned in his direction, somehow bouncing the side of an object 430U, which is unfortunate. But you're seeing the armor does. I mean, it's trollish. It's not god tier awesome, but it is trollish armor. And that 430U, I don't know, feels like he should have been dead about 3 or 4 times now. But there, yeah, same exact position, right? So that 430U just cheesed him that time through what I think is the turret, and so, you know, we have hit points. No Respect is making the guns sing, right? But we're also running a little low on ammo, and there is a lot of hit points left in this game. It's 5 to 7. The enemy is closing in, but you just try to do as much as you possibly can, because there is a lot of hit points left in the game, and you just never know how it's going to go. We have tanks that have big, stupid guns, so let's just try to maximize as much as we possibly can. No Respect is going to try to bait the guys back so that this T-30 can shoot. And the T-30 whiffs it. Like, that was critical. So, like, the T-30 really needed to hit that shot. You know, that would have been a game changer. Having a big gun doesn't matter if you don't hit your shots. And maybe that would have been enough to turn the tide here. Like, that 704, 705 would have been dead, or nearly dead, and then we could, yeah. That would have just opened up some options. And so this is an example where, you know, every shot counts. And here's a... Oh my god, there's an E4 coming around the corner. This is not ever something you want to see. No Respect puts a round into... What is happening? I don't understand. Somebody just shot HE. 704 shot H, 705A shot HE, and everybody had just shot, so No Respect makes the play to drive past his teammate, away from all the enemies, go kill one of the people capping, go kill the other guy that's capping, and all of a sudden we have space. So now we wanted to see if we can help this T-30 as much as possible, and it's unfortunate that we kill the same tank that the T-30 shot at as well. But you see here, for some reason, I think maybe that E4 was shooting at our cupola, but it shouldn't have really worked, but the armor works pretty well for some reason. And we only have 10 standard APCR rounds left and 1 premium round. And that one ricochets off the, you know, I think he's, No Respect is auto-aiming off of the STRV, doing what you do to STRVs, which is go around. You know, try to track them if you can, get to their side, because then everything's an auto bounce, but everything's an auto pen. But he knows that he can't stay here, because if he does, the enemy team is gonna gang up on him. They're gonna gank him, and there's still an artillery in the game. He can't be surrounded by 3 enemies, especially when there's 3 tanks in the game, because there's a bunch of big guns still in the game. So No Respect has basically only got 7 rounds plus an HE round, and there is enough hit points. Let's do some math here. This is going to be a tough one, you know, and I'm not sure if No Respect was going to try to go find some artillery or what exactly the plan is, but he's going to create some distance because he says in the chat here, sorry friends, literally cannot win. Yeah, I don't think that he has physically enough ammunition to win the game right now, but you know, and that's not a thing that happens all that often, but it does happen. And, you know, No Respect had a few shots on that 430U, especially that didn't really go in that probably should have, and some of the shots up on the hill were pretty far away. But the thing of this tank, the motto of this tank, is you miss every shot you don't take. So you really just, he threw them out there because you just never know. And 330 heat pen can pen a lot. You'd be surprised at some things you can pen with that, but not if you don't try. So I think, yeah, No Respect didn't get spotted here. I think he was probably trying to go find some artillery, and he went out to the base and didn't get spotted. So that means the artillery is not sitting at A7. So that, I think, now that they're on the cap, No Respect sees that, all right, he's not going to have a whole lot of time to mess around here. He thought he might be able to pick an arty for free. Now they're on the cap, there's no time to waste, but now you're seeing the mobility, right? This is not a light tank. It's not like a Leopard 1 that's like a super fast medium, but it still gets up and goes. And it doesn't really feel like it slows down a whole lot for hills because it has such good ground resistances and it has good engine power. And just, I mean, you can see why this is used in competitive game modes. It's fast enough. It's got armor that works. It's got a gun that has great DPM and pretty good accuracy when you're at close to medium range. And we got 8 seconds. There's no time to mess around. You see the side of the E4, so we put a shot in and reset to give us only 10 more seconds. Now the next round needs to go into the STRV, otherwise we don't reset. So we're going to close the distance. STRV is looking. We go ahead and track the STRV. E4 is going around. We play the games with the E4. STRV is still on reload and still tracked, so we put the enemy STRV... Oh, we missed the shot there. That's unfortunate. Eat a shot from the E4, but he puts the STRV's gun on the other side, right? So, like, the STRV is no danger. The E4 has already shot, so we know that there's only 2 rounds left. He's only got 2 rounds left, but he puts a shot in, and the E4 has just shot again. He's on reload, so you know there's no... This is literally the last round that he has. We have no idea where the 705 is, but, like, we know that the E4 cannot... Wow. Okay, so that one penned for 363. Feels good. Out of ammo, right? And what an incredible performance, but there's literally nothing we can do here. 705 gets the spots, and you know, I think it would have been a tough hit here regardless, using the gun depression or the undulations in the land. And you know, the clicker's revenge, I guess, whatever. The clicker gets the kill. But what an incredible performance by No Respect. And let's get to the end plates. All right, so at the end of the game, No Respect ended up picking up 5 kills, 8,600 damage, 3,100 blocked, and that gets him a high caliber, and I think whatever that is for the base resets, and only a first class, I think, because of the loss, because it was a loss, even though he got a high caliber. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but yeah, that ends up giving No Respect 869 base XP, which again, maybe it's because he's shooting lower tier tanks and tier 10s. Tier 10 XP is always a little bit lower for those reasons. You can't have a higher tier tank to shoot. So in any case, definitely put the team on his back and did what he could to bring this thing home. And I think if he'd have had 5 more rounds, he probably would have brought this thing home. So what a game. And then, you know, at the end of the game here, economy-wise, there were a lot of heat rounds spent, and there were a lot of heat rounds that didn't go in, specifically on that 430U. So this was not a cheap game. No Respect paid through the nose for 108,000 credits, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do to win the game, and heat rounds are a part of that. 330 heat pen is what makes the 907 so good, and don't really fault him for using them. So anyways, that is the game. And congratulations to No Respect for bringing it in, bringing it home, and doing your very best. The decision making throughout this match, there's 3 or 4 key spots where it's unbelievable. So congratulations on the excellent game, and sorry I couldn't end up with a better result, I guess, with the W anyways. But anyways, that is the game, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.